Hello everyone and welcome back to part 2 of the videos. We'll be starting off from question 16. Now question 16 requires a bit of guess and check, unfortunately. So we want to get number 7. To get to number 7 from 24. One way you can do this is to recognize that 24 is part of the 3 times table, specifically 3 times 8. 7 is not part of the 3 times table, so no matter how many times we choose minus 3, we are never going to get 7, so we have to use plus 2. From there, let's start by adding plus 2 first, so we get 26, and we take away 3 multiple times, we're still not going to get 7. So let's add 2 again. 28. Take away 3 multiple times, in this case 7 times, minus 3 times 7, that gives us 7, which is exactly what we want. Then we count the number of times we press the buttons, so we press plus 2 2 times, and we press minus 3 7 times. So altogether we press the button 9 times, which is D. Now this question helps us by saying a pattern repeats every 5 steps. This means that every 5 steps it will have the same sequence. So what we can do is 92nd and 93rd shapes. We can divide those by 5. The reason why we can do that is because they're always going to follow the same sequence. So as a 90th or any multiple of 5, it's always going to be the triangles at the end. So then we're left with 2nd and 3rd. And these are the only shapes we need to focus on. So what are the 2nd and 3rd shapes? It is the circle and the triangle. Therefore, the answer is B. For question 18, we know that this bird feeder, can feed 1 magpie every day for 3 days. So since this is for, let's say there is an X amount. Now X can be any random number, we don't know how much. And it feeds them for 3 days. Plus, now it's the same amount, so X over 6 days. And that gives us 1 whole basket. From here, we can rearrange. So we get 2x over 6 plus x on 6 equals 1. 3x over 6 equals 1. So x equals 6 on 3, which equals 2. So the answer should be B. Yasmin has 4 weights, half a kilogram, 800 grams, 250 grams, and 400 grams. To make our lives easier, let's convert this to grams. So half a kilogram is 500 grams. Now, we want to see how many following totals can be made by adding them together. This requires a bit of a guess and check, but we can use the hints that are given. So 1450 grams, it ends with 50, so we know for this to be possible, we need 250 grams. Then how much are we left with? We're left to fill up 1,200 grams. Now, from the remaining 3 numbers, can we make 1,200 grams? Yes, we can. We can do 800 grams and 400 grams. So 1 is definitely possible. What about 1,100 grams? Now this time, since it doesn't end with a 50, we can ignore the 250 grams. Now from the remaining numbers, can we make 1,100 grams? The answer is no, we cannot. So 2 is not possible. Now, last but not least, 3/4 of a kilogram. Let's convert that back. So a quarter is 250 grams, times it by 3. So it's 750 grams. Now, can we make 750 grams? Yes, we can. That's the same as 250 grams plus 500 grams, which gives us what we want. So 1 and 3 are the only possible totals, which is C. Now, in the grid below, Mike is standing in the square labeled M, and Nina is standing in the square labeled N. Now, Xavier wants to stand in a square that is the same distance from both Mike and Nina. Now, when you first look at this question, you might say that, oh, D3 only, because that's exactly halfway between. You are half right. Since it's exactly in between, yes, they'll be the same distance. But it's important to consider that the question doesn't ask us that it has to be the shortest distance. So, even if they're here, they're the same distance apart from Mike and Nina. Even if they're here, they're the same distance apart from Mike and Nina. Following this pattern, we can see that if they stand anywhere along this line, they'll be the same distance from Mike and Nina. So Xavier can stand from anywhere in B1 to G6. So the answer would be E. Question 21. Fraser has 8 identical rectangles, each with length 7 and width 2 centimeters, as shown. For this question, let's break it apart. So we know that, let's cut it up like this, and let's cut it up like this. So we know this length has to be 7 centimeters minus 2 centimeters. Where did I get 2 centimeters from? I got it from this length, which is given. So we take away that much from this length to get the length that we want. So 7 minus 2 is 5 centimeters. Now, for the other length, we have 7, 7, 7. Same logic here. We cut it up here. How long is this side? That's 2. So 7 becomes 5. So 7 plus 7 plus 5 gives us 19. To find the area, we do length times width. So we can do 19 times 5, which gives us 95 centimeters squared. Alrighty, question 22. A thick grey line is painted along every edge. It's careful that you read the, be careful with the question. It asks for every edge, not for every face. So first of all, if we color in every edge, how many squares will not be colored? You might have to visualize this a bit, but the inside won't be colored, right? So we have a 2 by 2 by 2 cube inside that won't be colored. So 8 of them will not have gray paint on them. Now, the faces will also not have paint on them. So this face, and this face. And the faces on the other side as well. How many cubes are there on each face? There are 4 cubes. And how many faces are there? There are 6 of them. So 24 of them will not have grey paint on them. So 8 plus 24 gives us 32. Now, but the question asks for how many of the smaller cubes have grey paint on them. So from here, what we do is find the total number of cubes and then take away the cubes that don't have grey paint on them. To find the total number of cubes, we do 4 times 4 times 4, which gives us 64. We take away 32 from 64, and that gives us 32. So the answer will be A. The column graph shows the number of children living in all the houses in a street. How many children altogether live in the houses on the street? For this question, you have to be careful of these numbers. In house 1, there are 15 houses with 1 child. So we do 15 times 1. Now 9 houses have 2 children. What we have to do here is times by 2, since we're counting the total number of children on the street. From here, we add another 2 houses, and how many children are there in that house? There are 3 children. We don't count the column with 0 because there are no children living in that house, and 0 times anything gives us 0. If we add this all up, we get 15 plus 18 plus 6, which is 24 plus 15, which is 39. So the answer should be D. For this question, there are 2 ways of doing it. I'll show you one way, and then I'll also show you the other way. So one way of doing it is find the volume of each cube, or in this case rectangular prism, and then divide the volume to get how many of these small ones we need, and then times that by 600 grams. So the way to do that is 20 times 20 times 40, which should give us, that's 400, add a 0 there, 1600 centimeters cubed. So that's the volume of the big rectangular prism. For the small one, we'll do 5 times 10 times 8, which gives us 50 times 8, 400 centimeters cubed. From there, we divide, so we can cancel out the zeros. So 160 divided by 4 gives us 40, and 40 times 600 grams is 6 kilograms, 24 kilograms. So the answer is C. Now, if you're uncomfortable with dealing with big numbers like this, another way you can do it is try to fit them in. So how many times does 10 centimeters go into 20 centimeters? The answer is 2 times. So it goes in like this, 2 times. Now this is 8 centimeters, this is 40 centimeters. How many times does 8 go into 40? It goes in 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Now 5 centimeters goes into 20 centimeters how many times? It should go in 4 times. So 1, 2. So we know it goes in 4 times, it goes in 2 times, it goes in 5 times. Then we can times these together to get 8, 40. 4 times 2 times 5 gives us 40. So you know we have 40 small rectangular prisms inside the large rectangular prism. So we do the same thing, 40 times 600 grams, which gives us 24 kilograms. Now let's look at question 25. For question 25, let's look at the lowest common multiple. The lowest common multiple is when we have 2 numbers, the smallest number it can give us when they're multiplied together. So 1 and 2, the lowest common multiple they have will be 2, because 1 times 2 gives us 2, 2 times 1 gives us 2. So 2 is the lowest common multiple. What about 2 and 4? The answer is 4. because 4 times 1 gives us 4. 2 times 2 gives us 4. Now, what about 4 and 8? The answer is 8, because 4 times 2 and 8 times 1 equals 8. Now from here you can sort of see a pattern emerging. So what should this be? It should be 16, because 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 times 1 is 16. Now we want to know the difference between the sum of the numbers in the top row and the sum of the numbers in the bottom row. Now instead of adding them all together and then subtracting it, since they're the same numbers, we can cancel them out. So we'll be left with 1. So the answer should be A. Now we have a number line question. 0, blank, 1 and 6, blank, blank. Now, since these two parts are equal, we can say that this is half of 1 and 6. So how do we find half of 1 and 6? The way we can do that is by timesing it by half or dividing it by 2. Doesn't really matter. And that gives us 1 on 12. But we want to know the one after that. Since this is the first gap and this first gap is 1 on 12, we can say that this gap, all we need to do is add 1 on 12. So 1 on 6 plus 1 on 12 gives us 2 on 12 plus 1 on 12, which gives us 3 on 12, which is the same as 1/4. So the answer should be A. Now question 27. A rectangular prism has some edges that are 1 centimeter, some edges that are 3 centimeters, and some edges that are 4 centimeters. What is the sum of the lengths of all the edges of the rectangular prism? For this question, let's draw it out. So if we draw out a rectangular prism, this is a horrible rectangular prism, but bear with me. We can say that these, I'll draw some extra lines as well. These lines are all equal. And these lines will be all equal. And these lines and the one back here will be all equal. So some edges are 1 centimeter, some edges are 3 centimeters, and some edges are 4 centimeters. Now if we count the number of different types of edges, we have 3 different types and exactly 4 of them. From there we can say that one of them is 1 centimeters, one of them is 3 centimeters, and one of them are 4 centimeters. So 1 centimeters, there are 4 of them, 3 centimeters, there are 4 of them, and 4 centimeters, there are 4 of them. What we do for this question is add them all up to get our answer. So 1 times 4 gives us 4, 3 times 4 gives us 12, and 4 times 4 gives us 16. 16 plus 4 equals 20, plus 12 equals 32. So our answer will be D, 32 centimeters. So this is the end of part 2. Again, go stretch your legs, get some water, and I'll see you here for part 3.